My name is Christine, and if there's one thing people know about me, it's that I love food. I love learning about it, shopping for it, cooking it, and eating it. But most of all, I love sharing it. Food brings people together and is a great way to learn about new cultures and get to know one another. Coming together and sharing a meal is the most communal and binding thing in almost every place in the world. So please, step into my kitchen and let's break bread together. Hi everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. You know that my philosophy about food is that I live to eat and not the other way around. But with all the things happening with the COVID-19 crisis right now, I'm kind of thinking that we need to rethink the way we eat and the things that we put in our body. Because it seems like this virus, it's picking on people like the elderly, and also people whose immune systems are already compromised. So I wanted to theme this episode around eating to live instead of living to eat. A little twist on things, but we're gonna keep it fun and we're also gonna keep it delicious. So the first thing that we're gonna make today is a vegan miso ramen with a shiitake broth. Then we're gonna do a sauteed greens, and then add to that a vegan jalapeno cheddar broccoli soup. That sounds delicious, doesn't it? All right, so we're gonna start with our miso broth. You're gonna take one large diced onion, add about a tablespoon of oil to that. Onions always provide a really nice and sweet flavor. Add your smashed garlic. And after you add your smashed garlic, keep on tossing the mixture together. And now you want to get your onions nice and brown. Keep on tossing this, because if you don't, the garlic and the onions will burn way too quick and unevenly, and that's not going to give your broth really good flavor. No one likes a burnt broth flavor. I'd start off on a high heat when you first start tossing the onions, and then once you put your garlic in, I turn it to about a medium-high heat. We're going to go ahead and add our 4 cups of vegetable stock. We do 4 cups of distilled water. Now these are shiitake mushrooms. So what I've done is you're going to put them in dry, and before you put them in there, you want to break them up. When they hit the water, they start to expand. No one wants to put one whole shiitake mushroom in their mouth. Some dried kelp, and this is Japanese rice wine for cooking, otherwise known as mirin. You're going to bring this to a simmer. Get all those nice flavors from the broth and the mirin. So you see where the broth line is right now. It's about 3/4 of the way. You want to keep it at that level. And so just make sure that your heat is not too high. So our next item that we're going to have for the immunity meal, the eat to live meal, is a really, really flavorful jalapeno cheddar broccoli soup. And I know a lot of you always have the cheddar broccoli soup, you have in Chili's, Bennigan's. This is a really cool take on it because it's keto, it's vegan, it's packed full of flavor, and it tastes good too. Because sometimes when things are flavorful, they don't taste that good. This tastes really amazing, and it's got some kick to it. So to start up your metabolism as well. As you can see, we have the broccoli, we have poblano peppers, onions. Corn is just for show. We have also garlic, cumin. Well, how do you do that Parmesan cheese taste when you're a vegan? Well, this, my friends, is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is basically yeast that has been deactivated, and so it has the texture and then a kick of flavor like Parmesan. It's great to use in a lot of items that you cook, and so, yeah, I learned that today, and I thought to myself, that's pretty cool, I love that. And probably less fat than the Parmesan, too. Let's go over here and finish up our miso broth, and then we'll start heading over to the jalapeno cheddar. Okay, so now that we've simmered this now for about 30 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to take the kelp out, and we're going to add in our miso paste. kick it up a notch with some pepper. And as you can see, remember I told you about how this is going to start evaporating and we want to keep the level up or else it'll get a little bit too salty. Once you add that miso paste in there, it does kind of get a little bit salty. And so I'm just going to add more vegetable broth. Alright, so we're making 2 soups today. You might want to say, why are you making 2 soups? Well, the ramen has always been more of not just a soup for Asians. Ramen has always been the main meal. But this cheddar, broccoli, jalapeno soup, it's something that you can also chill and have later for like lunch or something. And it's heavy as well, but it's nice to have 2 different soups. One's brothy and one's a little bit heavier, just to balance each other out. We always start with the base. And the base always starts with a little olive oil and of course, like I said, the onions and that sweet flavor. But this one, because it's going to have a bit of a kick to it because it is a cheddar jalapeno broccoli soup, we're going to add poblanos. Or actually, another thing I learned, poblanos is the wrong term to use. They're often labeled incorrectly at the stores. Pasilla, P-A-S-I-L-L-A, is actually the correct name of the pepper. And then this is just diced jalapeno. And of course, garlic. You want to go ahead and saute this. You have to do this for about 5 minutes until everything gets nice and soft. As you can help yourself, and that starts with the way you treat your body. Whenever you eat anything spicy, the good thing about it is it actually increases your metabolism. And so, you know, that's why a lot of people do that lemonade diet when that was all the fad, probably still doing it. But the cayenne in the lemonade diet is what kickstarts your metabolism. We've got our nice base now for the soup, browned up, softened up. Let's go ahead and add the queen of this show, and that's the broccoli. So that's about a pound and a quarter of broccoli. Take all the stems down and you cut them into bite-sized florets. You add a cup of distilled water, and then we'll do 4 cups of veggie broth. Some cumin, a big bay leaf, oregano, salt, and of course my favorite always, because I love to kick it up a notch again, pepper. Okay, so basically you just want your broth to cover your veggies. Bring it to a boil. Once we bring it to a boil, we're going to cover it and we'll simmer it down for about 10 to 12 minutes. Alright, so now we're going to do our side dish. Very simple sauteed greens. We're going to have a bunch of kale. You destem the kales and you chop the stems into quarter pieces. And you're going to saute that. We'll saute for about 5 minutes until the stems get nice and soft. One main thing that you see in every dish, there are so many greens. Greens are amazing for your body. The greener an item is, the more nutrients it usually has. Yep, it's simple as that when it comes down to figuring out what's healthy for your body. We'll add the remainder of the olive oil. You have your chopped shallot. Saute this for a little bit. Oh, that's some flavor love right there. Then we're going to add your garlic. I prefer to use kale and collard greens, but you can also use any kind of simple greens. You can use kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, whatever floats your boat. Now you're going to toss this really well into the seasoned mixture that we just made below. See how the color comes out right now? Ooh, that's gorgeous. We'll turn the heat down a little bit and we'll let it sit here and wilt down for about 8 to 10 minutes. Wow, look at the color. That's beautiful. All right, now that we've simmered down our broth with our broccoli, what we're going to do is we're going to add it to the blender. Remember to take the bay leaves out whenever you see them. You don't want to accidentally blend that in. So this is your broccoli simmered down with the broth. You're going to add your nutritional yeast. You're going to add your boiled down cashews or cashews that have been soaking so that they're soft. We're going to add some spinach. And the more that you blend spinach, it starts losing its color. So we're using the spinach for its vibrant green color, so you don't want to blend it all at one time. So basically you want to blend this until it's nice and creamy. Alright, so we have our simple sauteed greens all plated up very nicely, and you really don't need to garnish this with anything, but what I would suggest, though, if you want to add a little bit more of a kick to it, is serve it with some limes on the side. Sauteed simple greens. The jalapeno cheddar broccoli vegan soup. To plate it, and for the garnish for this one, we're going to make it really beautiful. We're going to add just a tad of red pepper, maybe a spoonful of corn, some pumpkin seeds, and what I like Parmesan cheese on anything, but since we're going vegan, I'm going to add just a little bit more nutritional yeast at the top. That beautiful color. Some people like to squeeze a little bit of lime as well, so we'll do that. Give it that extra top. Alright, now we have our main entree, and that's our vegan Miso Shiitake Ramen. The broth is just amazing. It's got all the color for that. I also decided to use, instead of just normal egg noodles, spinach noodles, just to go with our garden theme. Okay, so what you do is you add your ramen first, your ramen noodles, and then you can do things either two ways. You can add all the toppings and then pour the broth over it, or you can put the broth in and then add your toppings after. I like to do the latter because I feel like the toppings don't start swimming in the broth, and it's easier to plate that way, especially if you're going for aesthetics. So let's go ahead and ladle some of this gorgeous broth over. The dishes are so beautiful with the colors. I think that's about enough. I choose to use some baby corn, a little bok choy on the side, and the bok choy, when you put it in, dip it in a little bit, because by the time you get it to the table, the bok choy would have wilted a tad and be soft to eat. And then some bamboo shoots. Now, pop of color, let's do some shredded carrots and a little furikake. Alright, so I just happened to make this entire meal vegetarian and vegan, but that doesn't mean that if you eat meat, you can't be healthy and you can't have a good immune system. That's fine, but as long as you take it in moderation when it comes to the proteins. You can add beef, fish, chicken, pork, whatever you want, and pair it up with any of these items. So, thanks so much for coming into my kitchen again and breaking bread with me. Until the next time, cheers and to your health.